Hey everyone, I'm back and I'm here to talk about why this eclipse season is not your grandfather's eclipse season. It is an epic season. It's the most pivotal month of the year, and it is an eclipse season that we've never ever seen before. Definitely out of many things out of bounds. My name's Irliana Samsara, StarSound Astrology, StarSound Speaks podcast. I'm welcoming myself back. I've been off for 9 months. This has been a gestation. I just decided today, you know what, I'm just going to jump in and make this video. The world is in a certain way right now, and I think that we just need as much information and sharing, heart sharing, which is always my desire, to share my heart, the love of astrology that I have, that you have, and that we can move through this time powerfully. Thank goodness for astrology, because it really does tell the story of what's going on. So this season, you know, March, here we are, welcome to March. March 1st, Venus went retrograde. Mercury's going to join it right after that lunar eclipse, so, which is coming up in 2 weeks. And then, of course, we have at the end of the month is a very epic change. It's Neptune moving into Aries. So whenever a planet changes signs, it's always a big deal, right? But the reason why this season is so epic for eclipses is because not only do we have this major planet, outer planet, making a sign change, as Pluto did finally last November, it's also what's also fascinating and really super powerful and very auspicious is that it's at the Aries point. So this year, starting in January 11th, we had the North Node move from 0 Aries to 29 Pisces. So that back and forth point between the last degree of the zodiac, 29 Pisces, and the first degree of the zodiac, 0 Aries. Hello, kitty. That's one of the kitties I feed, by the way. Yes, I know. Hello. Anyway, she just doesn't care. She just wants the food, you know. So one of the things that is one of the things I was saying is so powerful is that this Aries point is 0 Aries is considered, it's called the world point. It's also known as the world point, and it's the beginning of the zodiac. So it's the first degree. You got 360 degrees to a circle. You got 360 degrees to an entire zodiac, right? Because every sign has 30 degrees, 0 to 29, 0 to 29. 0 counts as the first degree, right? So 0 to 29, 0 to 29, and it goes all around for 12 signs, so that's 360 degrees. So the final degree, 29 Pisces, the dissolution of all matter, the endings of things. Pisces, right? It's the dissolution from the material world into the formless. So form becomes formless. So I usually like to tell clients, you know, this is something, if you think about the Aries point being birth, right? And in the seed sprouts out of the ground, right? The little seed. And it germinates, and it comes through the unseen world under the soil, and it sprouts up. So picture a sprout, a seed sprouting. And then it begins a journey. It's matter and spirit, you know, and intentionality made manifest into this world. And so it goes into this, a whole life cycle, right? It becomes, say, a tree, and then it finally bears fruit, and years later, and then it becomes an old tree, and one day the tree dies, and it goes back into the soil, right? So this is an entire cycle of life. Well, right now we are at a very pivotal point because we have so many planets piling up and passing back and forth over that point. 29 Pisces into Aries. Saturn is going to be there in May. But first we had the North Node. Then we have, then Venus did it, you know, very recently, right? Venus was in Pisces. Mercury in Pisces, right? Going over that point from Pisces to Aries. Then the Sun, of course, on the spring equinox is called the Aries ingress, because it's the sun. What it is the sun, we're crossing the equator. The sun crosses the equator, or the ecliptic path of the earth and the sun, where it goes around. It's a crossing point. So that's an equinox, equal nights. Night and day are equal, right? And it's a crossing point, and it's a beginning, because as the sun ascends into the northern hemisphere, right, the days get longer. You know, we know the drill. But the whole idea being that this is a new beginning. This is a cardinal sign, mutable sign, mutable water. It's like Pisces, right? It's like we go back into that cosmic womb of, you know, all the transcendental soup, so to speak. You know, we pass on, we leave our physical body, right? The tree has sprouted, becomes a tree, sheds its, you know, years and years. Do you have to fly over my head while I'm doing? Thank you. All right. It's like, anyway, so this, I'm just trying something new, you know. It's just like, come on, I don't want to go back to the same old thing. It's been a very huge spiritual journey for me. I could make a whole, maybe I should tell you that later, you know, whole video of like what happened to me, or what didn't happen and what did, and, you know, yeah, a lot of internal work. We'll just say that. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so that point, that crossing point from the, you know, where we become like a tree, you know, that sprouts, becomes old, passes on, leaves the physical form. We leave our physical form at some point, right? We go back into the unmanifest. So all those planets passing, and personal planets, right? We got Sun, we got Venus and Mercury going retrograde over that point. Very, very important. And then Saturn, Neptune on March 30th, right? We start the month with Venus retrograde. We end with Neptune finally moving into Aries, which we have not seen since 1861. That was the last time it entered. It also danced over that point, 1861 to 1862. And we'll talk more about that later, because I think we all, as Americans, know what happened. And it was in the day after it happened was the Civil War. Which is, you know, not exactly the most jolly subject, but we're going to talk about that more in depth. I'll get into all that, because it's just time to talk about these things. Anyway, Aries. Neptune into Aries, March 30th. Then Memorial Day weekend, that's how I easily remember it, May 30th. Memorial Day weekend in the U.S. is Saturn going into Aries. Now, Saturn goes into Aries, is, you know, every 30 years, 29, 30 years, it changes sign. So that's not such a big deal. But Neptune being an outer planet, Neptune takes about 14 years in a sign. 14 years. That's long. That's almost a generation. It's almost as long as Pluto. Pluto last time took 15 years to go through Capricorn. It's going to spend 20 years in Aquarius. And so these are very long range. This influences the collective. So there we have it. North Node, fate, points of fate. It's where the moon's path and the Earth's path cross. South Node, North Node. And that's where our eclipses are, right? Why do we have a lunar eclipse? Why don't we have a lunar eclipse every month? It's because we only get it twice a year, 6 months apart, where the nodes, where the full moon or the new moon line up with the transiting node, right? So for this particular one, it's going to be, the lunar will be in Virgo on March 14th, and the solar eclipse will be in Libra. It will be a different sign, because Libra, it's the last, it's kind of a little flip-flop between signs, but it's the last Libra-Aries eclipse on the Libra-Aries axis, which has been active for, gosh, 2 years now, almost 2 years. So that's given us lots of lessons. But I also want to point out, too, that not only is the Aries point so vital to understand this kind of, we're like in the womb, and we're entering out into the world, into that Aries point. There's a new world out there, and we don't know. We have a sense of what it looks like, but of course we don't really know until it's there. But we have a lot of clues. Astrology gives us a lot of clues. Thank God, thank Goddess. And so yes, the Aries point is very, very big, and the fact that Venus is going to be retrograding, is retrograding right now. As we speak, it's just stationed retrograde, so it's actually still. It's in a stillness. So it's like, okay, this is why the stationing retrograde points and stationing direct are always very, very important dates. You want to watch them. This one in the cardinal sign of Aries, very interesting, because Venus has been in the South Node eclipses, Libra, South Node Libra, for 2 years. I'm about to sneeze. Pardon me. Hold on. Pollen. Oy. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, sneezing. Okay, it's YouTube. All right. I'm not kidding. I'm just talking, right? I'm not going to cut any of this out. All right. So, Libra. Yeah. So she has been showing us, what is it that we are loyal to and where we are willing to forge ahead and be our own unique, authentic selves, and not having to get the agreement of others, not having to people please. Coming out from under the shadow of others, itself and others, right? So it's being our own sovereign, unique, authentic selves. So that's very important. And that's going to be, we're going to be really revisiting this over the next 5 to 6 weeks. Venus will be retrograde. It will go direct on April 12th, 3 days before tax day. Venus actually rules cash in the bank, so, between, I don't know, this whole thing with get your taxes, take your time and get your taxes done. I don't know about you, but you might want to file an extension given Mercury and Venus retrograde as like a little practical advice here. But anyway, yeah, Venus in Aries, retrograding back into Pisces and then stationing in the sign of her exaltation. She loves being in very much inspiration about art, music, dance, all these incredible mystical artistic pursuits, contemplative dreams, visions, mystical visions. It's like really juicy for that. So we get to reconnect with those. And people in our past, lovers, sisters, daughters, mothers, friends, these are all ruled by Venus. So she's going to make that in her retrograde journey to the underworld, will go back into Pisces, turn around and go direct, and then come back out into the world, right? So it's this chance for us energetically and cosmically for us to really think about, like, what is it that I care about, that I'm committed to being in action on, how I want to show up in the world, right? Aries, cardinal sign. A new beginning, a turn of the wheel, moving into action. These are all being brought up for us to examine and look at. And then when she dips back into Pisces, it's going to be really about, a great examination of the beauty that we are, the mystical selves that we are, the love that we can bring to the world, but also being honest. Like Saturn's in Pisces, right? It's like, okay, yes, we all want a beautiful mystical world, but we also have to get real. And we can't be kidding ourselves. And so we'll have experiences that could call forth where we have deluded ourselves, where we have deluded others, where others have deluded us. Nothing in the news, of course, but, just no. Don't take me down, YouTube. I am going to say this. Anyway, so all of that energy of looking really honestly with ourselves and at ourselves, deep contemplation. I would also say too that this time with the retrogrades and the eclipses, with Venus there and then Pisces and all, Venus and then Saturn in Pisces in those final degrees, it's like, dude, that is really epic time for writing, creating, dance. The most incredible, you could even channel the information. And it's like making that commitment to be that vessel for divine grace and beauty to come through us. That to me would be, what I would really look at and really focus on. I'm laughing because I barely took notes this time. This is the new me. I was like trying not to be so Virgo. We get South Node Virgo. I'm like, let go of the details. No, I live on details. To-do lists. I have scrap paper, huge. Thank God for my friend Trish. She keeps me supplied and Scrap paper. I'm like, don't throw that paper out. She has all this paper from work. She gives me like huge stacks of paper. I'm like, yeah, I can make my list. Make my list. I make all these lists of lists. It's like, I love it. But now it's like, what's gonna happen to me? I should start a separate YouTube channel. It's like, oh my God, letting go of detail and being in in faith, right? Be in faith. Just, it's okay. We got the details. The divine is the details. Your divine self is the details. So yeah, it's going to be a really outrageous eclipse season. And let's see, what else did I want to say here? Looking at my note, I will give myself one, right? It's like rationing. You get one look at your notes. Okay. Where the... Stop being so hard on myself. Anyway, all right. I promise I will. No, really, seriously, where that whole Aries, back to that Aries point, where the non-material of the Piscean world comes into physical form, manifest. So you think about spirit made manifest. Spirit made manifest. And we are the embodiment of divinity here and now. So that's the energy, is like on the planet here and now, bringing this forth into the world. And I would say too, the descent into flesh, sometimes you hear it spoken of like that, especially in like religious traditions. Like in the Bible, like, and the word became flesh. It's like what the idea, and it became, right? The word became flesh. It was this creation. So this is the idea. These are the archetypes that are at play here. And I would say too about religion, with Neptune leaving Pisces in its final degree, I think too, it certainly speaks to, and moving into Aries, it's like we are the embodiment of divinity, and we don't have to look on some external guru or priest or person on the outside, to legitimize us, and that it's time for us in this era, in this new era, to take these things that we have long stewed upon, and we all know, we've been doing our work, looking at ourselves earnestly, and some maybe haven't, but certainly this is the opportunity to realize finally and to see that we are really like that Hopi saying, we are the ones we've been waiting for, like this is it. Like, hello, 5, 6 planets crossing from Pisces to Aries, back and forth. This is the Hopi vision become manifest. We are the ones we have been waiting for. And also it talks about how pushing off into the river, and don't be afraid, just go there. And it's very Piscean, right? Rivers, oceans, we're just seeing all this. There is something new that's coming, but we have to let go of our old notions of how things should be. The last thing I want to say is I will put this in the in my community post section. Oh, by the way, please do like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed this. I really appreciate it. It's my first thing back. And I also want to say, I'm going to post it and join my email list, Irliana at StarSoundastrology.com. I have it below. And I do giveaways. I'm going to be talking about the eclipses very shortly on a private Zoom call, so I invite you to join me for that. I think we're going to just need a lot of support at this time. But the last thing I want to say is, I happened to see in the news a few days ago, there was this ocean liner called the SS United States, and I remember that. I don't personally have seen it, but I remember that actually because my aunt and uncle, when they got married, they actually took their honeymoon to Europe, and this was in the early 60s when jet travel was not the thing yet. It was just coming on board. So it was the last of the steamship days where people would like go to Europe on the steamship, and they, my Aunt Mary had her fur. I can still see her in this fur stole, like women wore stoles, right? Little hats, and all this. And my parents said that they waved to them. They all went down to see them off, and they waved. Well, this ship was the ne plus ultra of steamship travel. it was really like the Queen Elizabeth II of its day, of that steam, you know, beautiful, state-of-the-art, had speed records, and it still holds the world record for the fastest transatlantic crossing of, I guess, a steamship or something of its type. It was only like, I don't know, 3 days or some crazy thing. And it was just the epitome of style, right, and grace and achievement. It was called the United States. It was beautiful. It was just fantastic, and famous people. Actually, when I remember my mom and dad telling me that when on their ship crossing, my aunt and uncle, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor were on board, and everybody found out. They were like, "Oh my God, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor." Well, whatever. Anyway, but you get the picture, right? It's just this glam thing. Well, why am I talking about this? Because in the news, it turns out that this ship has, I wouldn't even say dry dock, it's just been sitting, rusting and molding away for years. Like nobody did anything with it. It's just been sitting in this like shipyard in Philadelphia. And many times investors tried to start it up and get it going, to refurbish it and, you know, blah, blah. Kind of like the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, like kind of like that, I would imagine. But anyway, nothing happened. It turns out they didn't even decide to scrap it. They sold it to some company or operation in Florida, and they're sailing the ship down now as we speak, and they're going to sink the ship in the Gulf of Mexico. Or Gulf of whatever you want to call the Gulf, okay? Let's not get into fights here. The Gulf. That's what we should do. Just take off American Mexico, just call it the Gulf. So, anyway, whatever. They are going to sink it and make it into the world's largest artificial reef, which they feel, oh, that'll boost tourism and everybody will come and these scuba divers and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm really sad because I don't want to put that thing in the earth in the water, but hey, Saturn in Pisces, you know, here it is. And last year when I did a whole episode, which I will link to below, Secret Message for the USA, and it talks about this progressed new moon of the USA happened in the 4th house of the United States chart. That's the home base. Pisces, new moon. Very interesting. Here's the astrology in action. This ship is being sunk in the water off the coast of the United States, and here it is, starting it's like a whole new chapter for this ship, even though it's dead, you know, it's underwater, but whatever. But I just thought, wow, here was this beautiful ship that was the ne plus ultra of elegance and style, and it's like what we see so much of America in decline right now, that there is this death and this passing that is occurring, but it is part of life. Things have to pass away and things have to die for new things to come up, for new things to be made manifest. So anyway, I just wanted to end with that because I just thought it was a very telling photo. That's it. All right, 22 minutes. That's all I had to say. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Irliana Samsara, Star Sound Speaks, Star Sound Astrology. Yes, I do readings, and I also do astrocartography for relocation or where the best places to live, work, play. I also do sessions in planetary remediations where we take the toughest planets in your chart that need the most help, and we show how you can lift them and help them operate better so that you can live your best life and to prosper and move forward with grace and ease. So that's it. All right, guys. Big love. Nice to be back, and we'll see you soon. Irliana Samsara, Star Sound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you for listening.